All right, gang, here we are, our third week of class. This is going to be the beginning of our description unit. So in SCC, Successful College Composition, it is chapter 3.2. So we just got finished with narration, 3.1. You just turned in your narrative essay and did your exercises for SCC and the reader discussion questions on the George Orwell and Bonnie Smith Yackle readings, and I'm going to be grading all of that this week. Okay, so you guys will be getting grades back from your week one assignments this week, and then the essays will follow that. They'll be returned to you within 2 weeks' time. Probably before your second essay. In fact, they will be turned back to you before your second essay. That is going to be your descriptive essay. So that's the unit we're on right now, and that descriptive essay is going to be not due at the end of this week, the third week, but the end of the fourth week of class. So halfway through the class, halfway through the course, we will have turned in 2 essays. So go ahead and do the exercises. The SCC exercises are really, I think they're really helpful in how process-oriented they are and how methodical they are. They're very much concerned with starting you at a small kind of granular level and then working from that outward to build, okay? And you guys can use, if you'd like, the exercise work you do in the SCC exercises as a template or foundation for the actual essay that you turn in, okay? You could certainly do that. So whereas the narration essay was focused on a pivotal moment, some kind of a climactic moment in your life, and you were adding images, appealing to the senses to make that moment come to life in a story framework. The descriptive is going to be more a focus on a person, a place, or a thing, and you are going to describe that person, place, or thing. We'll get into more of this with the rollout of next week's announcement and video, but I just want you guys to start getting into that frame of mind of description, okay? And don't take description for granted. It's something we do every day. In order to communicate effectively an idea, you have to describe that idea, okay? You have to tell about the particulars of that thing. Oftentimes you'll hear about 2 types of description. One, abstract description, and on the other hand, concrete description. So for example, if I gave the sentence, I drove my fast car, okay? I have a descriptor there. I have an adjective, fast, modifies car, the noun, okay? But still, that's a pretty abstract or vague description, is it not? In that there are all sorts of fast cars, are there not? So for a good descriptive account, you might want to get a little more specific or a little more concrete, okay? So I drove my Maserati or Lamborghini. I'm not the world's biggest car person, so my examples might not be the most appropriate. But car people, you know what a Maserati or a Lambo is, right? Or whatever other car is fast, okay? That puts an image in your head. If you are car literate, let's say, or if you're interested in cars, when I mention the word Maserati, Lamborghini, Corvette, whatever, an image of the car pops into your head. Perhaps you've ridden in this car or driven this type of car before. You know how the engine sounds, okay? So I'm giving you a type in the second description, whereas in the former description, I'm just giving you kind of a generality, a fast car, okay? So you want to be more concerned, I would say, generally speaking, in the more concrete, specific description more than the kind of vague, abstract, more generalized description. And really that's what our whole mission in this class is about, is being as specific and thorough as possible and precise and correct as possible when we are communicating using writing, okay? A valuable life skill that you're going to carry with you throughout the end of your days, okay? Speaking and writing precisely and accurately, that compels people to take you seriously, and it compels people to view you with dignity and respect. Okay, we tend not to dignify or respect other people who cannot communicate well. Okay, that's not to say they're not good people, but in that regard, we might not respect them so much. Okay, so this is what we're trying to cultivate in this course. Okay, and we're using these different modes to do it. Okay, story is crucial. We relate our lives by telling stories. That's how we visualize ourselves in our day-to-day lives, our interactions with other people. We tell stories. Hey, this is what happened this weekend, friend of mine, okay? That is when you relate that to that other person, the way they hear you relating it to them, they're going to visualize it in a way that you would visualize a story, as though you're reading a story or watching a film, something like that. And description, we need to know the thing about which you are talking, and we would like to know as much about it as we can. Now, there is such a thing as overly describing something, right? Can you imagine the pitfalls or the dangers of overloading somebody with descriptive language? Just think about that. What might be the consequence or the negative if I were, say, just bombarded with description after description? Okay, the soft, white, juicy, succulent, delicious, aromatic, aphrodisiac, blah, 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 blah thing, whatever it is, some food morsel, let's say. Well, when I read that, let's say you were the student who gave that very long-winded description. I'd probably say something, hey, why don't we scale it back a bit? Surely we don't need all of these descriptions, right? Maybe pick the 3 most relevant ones, okay? So you don't want to get carried away with describing things either. So it's a little balance you have to strike. So I think the exercises in this week's SCC are good in helping you to hone your descriptive powers, let's say, faculties. So do those, and if you ever have any questions on them, please ask me. Sometimes there could be a little ambiguity, or the instructions might not be so clear, so please do ask me if you need help. So that's the SCC, and then for this week we have 2 selections. One that is probably, if not my favorite, certainly one of my favorites that we read this entire semester, and that is E.B. White's Once More to the Lake, where the writer E.B. White, who wrote Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web, goes back and recounts his time at this campsite and the childhood memories he had back then, and he kind of relates it very beautifully to today, and how he and his son and family go back to that same place, and it's kind of a traveling back in time to when he was a child, okay? So it is a story. You can, in a sense, tell a story in this descriptive essay, but your focus isn't on story, it's on description. So when you're reading E.B. White's essay, you'll say to yourself, hey, this is a story. It's an account of things that have happened. There is a plot and some kind of a unifying theme, perhaps. But what is his focus in this piece? It's on rich, vivid, descriptive language, first and foremost, okay? And then we'll read a very different story in Goodbye to My Twinkie Days by Bic Minh Nguyen, which is an assimilation account on the writer, her passport, if you will, excuse the pun, to assimilation into America as a Southeast Asian immigrant into the American cultural fabric. And she uses Twinkies, okay, we all know what the Twinkie is, as that kind of entry point into American culture, okay? So an interesting account as well. And And the discussion questions this week, they are already posted. They and the SEC exercises are open as of Monday the 18th, and they will close Sunday the 24th. So that is 2 assignments this week during this week 3. You have a week in which to complete them, and you'll want to start thinking about maybe a topic, a person, place, or thing on which you would like to devote your descriptive essay. And again, that will be due by the end of the following week, week 4. Okay? All right, guys, so grades will be coming back to you this and next week, and I hope you all have a great week ahead. And if you ever have any questions, concerns, comments, I am happy to answer them. The blog, as it now comes to me, is closed this week. I tend to do the blog every other week, okay? So I'll reopen it next week, okay? All right, folks, that is Mr. Volpe here signing off and wishing you all a wonderful, happy week 3 in our class. Bye, everybody. See you next week.